Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 287, written by Showmeyurkitties, Magic Eyeglass Repair Fairies. Last Monday was my birthday. That's what started this weird and unexplainable event. I didn't really want to do much besides hang out with my boyfriend and chill around the house. My uncle asked me to run errands for him and take some stuff to Goodwill. I was annoyed because it was my birthday, but I agreed to it anyways. A little backstory. I tend to wear funky glasses and take pride in the dorkiest ones I can find. There's a specific pair I wear more often than most, and they're my favorite. They look like they came straight out of your typical 80s school picture, off the face of some nerdy kid. I get tons of compliments on them though. The lenses are a ginormous butterfly-looking lens. I just like that they cover all points of my vision. That's mostly why I wear them all the time. As I was putting my clothes into the trash bags to take to Goodwill, I went to do that typical swing the trash bag over your head and use the force of wind to open it method. As I was coming down with the trash bag, it caught the top of my glasses, causing them to fly off my face and slam face down onto the concrete floor in our garage. I knew before looking at them that they were going to be busted in some type of way, judging by how hard they fell. I just stood there and kind of looked at them for a second, anticipating how bad the damage was going to be. When I picked them up, the left lens had a deep chip gouged out of it. Not just a crack, a chip, maybe a few millimeters in length, completely unmistakable. I ran my fingernail in the chip and was able to feel it perfectly. I was highly annoyed at this point. Mostly with myself for agreeing to run errands on my birthday, but also because I did one of my typical clumsy klutz moves to break my glasses. I looked at my boyfriend and was like, fuck, my favorite glasses just broke, and handed them over for him to look at. He confirmed there was a chip in them too. I basically just said, whatever, and continued stuffing clothes into trash bags, trying not to be upset. I put them back on my face before hopping into the driver's seat. As we were on our way to Goodwill, I got annoyed again because I noticed the chip was placed perfectly enough to where it wasn't necessarily obstructing my view, but it was in my view enough that I could see it and it was bugging me. I also couldn't stop touching it. I took them off and handed them to my boyfriend. He examined the chip again for a second time and said, I don't know, maybe they're repairable. Maybe you could order another pair. I sighed and told him it really wasn't a big deal. I decided I wasn't going to worry about going through a repair. I had more glasses at home to get me by, and had an eye appointment coming up in a month or so anyways, and agreed that I just order the same pair again. He also agreed that was the best move, as the cost of a repair just didn't make the most sense. The whole time we were running errands and going to my birthday dinner, I continued to touch the chip. I don't really know why other than it was bugging me all night. When we got home, I put them on my nightstand next to my bed and just left them there, not really sure what to do with them yet. My boyfriend works overnight in a hospital and usually sleeps at my place when he gets off his shift. This tidbit is a little important. When I was getting ready for work a couple of mornings later, he was getting off his shift. We were making small talk and I was just like, man, I wish my favorite glasses weren't broken. I don't want to wear my other pairs today, so I guess I'll just wear my contacts. I went and picked up the glasses to just confirm to myself that they were still broken, I guess. The chip in the glasses was still definitely there. I again was able to run my fingers across the chip and was able to feel it. I put them back down on my nightstand, and that's where they've been for the last week, until today. I got home from work earlier and decided I wanted to clean my bedroom. My boyfriend has been working, so there's been no one here but me. I noticed my glasses sitting where I had last left them on my nightstand and was debating with myself on whether or not I wanted to throw them away. I obviously wasn't going to wear them again because of the chip, but also they were my favorite glasses and I didn't want to part with them just yet for some reason. This is where the crazy part happens. I go to pick up my glasses and put them on to wear one last time, but for some reason, I'm not seeing the chip in my line of sight like I was before. I didn't think too much of it until I took them back off and looked at the lens. My jaw drops. The chip is gone. The gigantic, fucking noticeable and very obvious chip that I felt so many times is just gone. I run my finger across both lenses because maybe, just maybe, I was mistaken and it was actually the right lens instead of the left. Am I crazy? I clean them hoping to find something. Nope. Literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. I put them back on my face, take them off, feel for chips, put them back on over and over, not even a scratch anywhere. Cold chills creep up my spine and my body is covered in goosebumps. I immediately feel like I'm dreaming and this moment isn't real, or that when I slam them on the floor, that didn't even happen and that my mind is somehow playing a trick. I get up and walk around my house to see if anything else is out of the ordinary. I even look at the glasses again just to make sure it's the same pair, but I know they are because it's my favorite pair. The thought even crossed my mind that maybe my boyfriend wanted to surprise me and get them fixed. But there's no way. He's been working 12-hour overnight shifts and sleeping, so there couldn't have been any time for that in his schedule. I texted my boyfriend what happened and sent him a picture of the glasses. I still feel like I'm crazy at this point and wanted confirmation that I'm not because nothing like this has ever happened to me. I've heard of unexplainable stories like this that have happened to other people, but not any that have happened to me. He's just as shocked as I am when we have no clue how they're suddenly just fine. He joked that all of the oil from my fingers filled the chip because I wouldn't stop touching it. My theory is that a magic eyeglass repair fairy knew that I was sad about my broken glasses, so they appeared in my room and fixed them while I was asleep. Thanks, fairy. I am still blown away, but I'm wearing them on my face as I type this now. Case notes. So I just want to say that I confirm your theory. This was definitely magic eyeglass repair fairies. I mean, we have tooth fairies, right? We have Santa Claus. So why not something for eyeglasses? Come on, people, it just makes sense. If you're enjoying this video, consider giving it a like. Now on to the next story. Case file number 288, written by Pryan Shu 0. Afternoon tea with a disappearing biscuit on the side. Usual morning. I had a nice stretch and sat down for my tea to enjoy the warm, sweet delight with a plate of biscuits to dip in. On unfortunate times, the biscuit breaks and you send another biscuit for the rescue. Foreshadowing. I picked up a biscuit, didn't quite dip it yet, and accidentally I dropped it in. From my experience, running to get a spoon is more suitable than using another biscuit to lift the drowned biscuit out. The latter leaves a mess of biscuit residue at the bottom. Anyways, I ran to the kitchen, picked up a spoon, and ran back to save my biscuit. It hardly took me 5 seconds. While I'm exploring the tea with the spoon to lift the fallen biscuit from its demise, I feel nothing. Strange. Now I'm curious. I had a plate right next to me on which I had more biscuits. I emptied the plate, poured my tea into it, and again I saw nothing. No traces of biscuit at all. What shocked me the most was the non-existence of any residue at the bottom of the teacup. I took a sip only to find no taste of the biscuit. My mom was right beside me on the couch. She freaked out too. Some might argue that it somehow got dissolved in it, but trust me, I've had that biscuit drop in my tea before. Today's experience was different. It takes a lot of time for it to dissolve, and still then it leaves some residue at the bottom. This just disappeared in a matter of seconds. Written by Anonymous, a cool draft from the Afterlife. I have never believed in the paranormal, and even to this day, I'm not sure if I believe in the events of this story. It has been stuck in the back of my mind for years, and I thought I would share it with you guys. A bit of backstory. My father served in the Royal Military Police and left the army 4 years ago, after 30 years of service. We are from the UK. My father has always been a very serious man, worked very hard, and the little humor he has is very dry. He has traveled the world with his work and experienced all manner of life. He is the last person to believe in the paranormal. So just over 10 years ago, he was on a posting in Germany, the last of the British troops before all the bases were closed. He had moved into a big old house. This house was where Hermann Goering, head of the German Luftwaffe, lived. My father lived there with 3 other high-ranking officers from different regiments, all of which mostly kept to themselves. After 4 months, he happened to have a weekend alone in the house. In the evening, he was sitting downstairs watching TV, when he heard footsteps coming down the stairs and into the hallway. He thought nothing of it until the fourth time he had heard someone come down the stairs. He assumed one of his housemates had returned from leave early. He had gone to look, but there was nothing there, and after checking the rest of the house, he went to bed. The following 2 nights, the same thing happened, but my father put the noise down to it being an old house with creaky floors. Monday morning, he reported the noise, along with a draft in the bathroom and a leaky tap, to the site maintenance office. His housemates had returned, and he had forgotten all about it. A couple of weeks later, he happened to mention the noises he heard to the old German cleaner. She said, in the most matter-of-fact way, that was Cedric. It turns out that Cedric was a Polish prisoner of war who used to work in the house. Cedric was sadly beaten to death in the house, and it is believed his spirit has remained in the house ever since. The cleaner told my father that Cedric walks the stairs every night and makes occasional noises or gusts of wind during the day. My father told us occasionally about the noises, etc. That could have been Cedric, but none of us believed him. He learnt the ways of Cedric, but there was never any flair or imagination to his stories. Just simply, there is a ghost that wanders around my house. 6 months later, I went to Germany for a work experience placement near where my father was based. He picked me up from the airport and took me to the house where he lived. I stayed the night there, and there was no sign or mention of this so-called Cedric. In the morning, I was going for a shower when my father said, "Don't worry about the wind. It's just Cedric, but he means no harm." I thought he was winding me up, but I still put a towel under the door to avoid any drafts. I had just about finished my shower, about to tell my father his made-up ghost doesn't exist, when this breeze/gust of wind/whatever it was blew right through me. It was like nothing I had experienced or known since then. It left me cold for the rest of the day. I grabbed my towel and raced out into the bedroom. I got changed, packed my bags, and walked out of that house. I believe it to be the only paranormal thing I have ever experienced. Thinking back, I cannot see how that could have been a draft or my father winding me up. I don't know what it was, but I do know there was definitely a presence in that house.